All right, welcome back to Correctional Officer Stories with Steve. As always, I am your host. Thanks again for tuning in to another beautiful episode of Correctional Officer Stories. I know you love to see my beautiful face, so here I am, y'all. Goon Squad, thanks for checking in. Appreciate y'all. It's a Sunday, or excuse me, it's Tuesday. We know the tragic accident that happened on Sunday with Kobe and his daughter and 7 other passengers. So blessings to the family, and hopefully they can figure out what the heck went on, because I saw the flight path. You can look at the flight path. They've released it, and you can even hear the radio from the tower talking to the pilot of that helicopter. And everybody's saying it was just super foggy, way foggy. And comparing it to like jumping in a pool full of milk and you open your eyes, well, you're not going to see anything. However, those are just comments and opinions. I think right now there's nothing being proven at this point, so they're still getting into it. But anyway, God bless the families. We're going to miss all of you, especially Kobe, for sure. I mean, that's who he was more of my brother's era. I was more of a Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson era. However, I did watch Kobe, so legend for sure. Anyways, today I want to talk about kind of the end of my last video. As I told you, I was going to get into some, there's some allegations coming out of Perryville Prison here in Arizona that Warden Dorsey is basically promoting African Americans and skipping all the other races. Basically, there's 2 whistleblowers on this specific situation, both Caucasian males, but it doesn't stop there. I don't think it's all races, except for, I guess, the African American race. And obviously no disrespect to African Americans. I've got several African American friends. I'm just kind of going over what the whistleblower complaints are about here. I did reach out to Carlos Garcia, who is the AZCPOA union. I believe he's the president. I'm going to try to get him on. He did agree to come on, and I just need to reach out to him some more and go over kind of what he'd like to talk about and put his opinion out there. He's very well spoken, very well written, and he represents the department highly. As a matter, he left as a lieutenant, so most likely within the week to come, you'll see him on the channel. So definitely, goons, welcome him. And so, kind of just moving forward here, it looks like obviously it's just enough is enough, right? It says 2 departmental staff, 1 captain, 1 lieutenant from Perryville Complex, submitted their whistleblower disclosures to the governor's office documenting the continuous targeted abuse of authority by Warden Regina Dorsey and S-Rod Ron Credio, I believe, C-R-E-D-I-O. That's written by Carlos Garcia. So S-Rod is Southern Regional Operations Director. So apparently there's some definite things going on that, sorry, I'm looking down, kind of just reading here, that shouldn't be taking place. And it says a couple of these guys say that it's basically stripped their career from them. I know the one lieutenant is trying to promote to captain, and I believe that he's been skipped over a couple times. So kind of the way it works is, when you go to promote, you take, for sergeant, lieutenant, captain, you take a written test, you do a oral board, and then you can do physical fitness for more points, but you don't have to. So they take the points from your written tests, from your oral board, and then if you have any kind of college degree, or if you do the physical fitness, I think that's an extra 40 points if you pass it. And then I think there's some other points in there that you can get. And then they combine them, and they put you on a list in number order. So if you were the top out of everybody, obviously you're going to go 1. and then 2, and then in, you know, fashion 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if you're number, let's say, 10 on the list, you scored the highest, they've already called number 9, you're next in line, right? Let's say you're trying to promote to captain. So you know that 9's gone, you're number 10, you're the next one to be called. Assuming that the facility that you chose is open, right? So the facility that you chose, it has to be open. That captain position has to be open for you to be picked. So if it's not, then that list just might stay. You might stay at 10, and they shouldn't be going. They shouldn't be jumping you to go to the next person. However, I think they do that, and I might be wrong here. That just might be how they operate, but I honestly can't remember if they jump to number 11 and send them out to Lewis because he or she picked Lewis, and then send 12 to Phoenix because he or she picked Phoenix. But actually, I think that's what they do because that makes the most sense. So if you're number 10 and this particular person obviously wants to stay at Perryville, as soon as Perryville comes open, he's the number 1 person they're going to pick, right? Unless he's had disciplinary or anything that would prevent him or her from accepting that captain position. So obviously, let's say 11, 12, and 13 also are on the captain's list for Perryville. Say a position comes open and Regina Dorsey takes number 11. Happens to be an African American. So number 10 is like, what the hell, I'm next. There's nothing in my disciplinary file. There's absolutely no reason as to why I should be skipped. I'm the next one. I was waiting for this position to come open. It's now open. I'm higher than him on the list, him or her on the list. I'm number 10. I should be the one to be chosen, right? Sounds like to me, they're skipping you and taking 11, 12, 13, and then making up some funky documents as to why they skipped you. So in my eyes, if you launch an investigation, and that's something that you can easily prove, right? If you're the highest on the list and your number's next to be called and the facility that you chose comes open and they select somebody else, that's not how they operate, right? That's not how the guideline goes. If you're next for that captain position, unless they offer it to you and turn it down, that's something different. But if they don't offer it to you and you didn't turn it down and you have no disciplinary and you don't have anything in your file, then there's no reason for you to be skipped. Unless you've just withdrawn from the list or you don't no longer want that position, you should be next to be called. So in this investigation, that's what they're going to look at. They're going to look at a lot of different things. They're going to look at, what has she done in the past? They're going to have to pull old promotion lists. Has this been a repetitive, ongoing situation? They're going to have to interview staff and get sides from the staff that had been promoted and that have worked around Regina Dorsey. They're going to interview Regina Dorsey and ask her, are you doing this? Here's the allegation. It's obviously come public now. It's on the news. What is going on? This shouldn't be something that's very tough to prove if it's going on, especially with the list and the way the points are written. If you're the highest on the list and you're next to be called and it's the facility you chose, you promote, period. I don't see any other way around that. And that is easily proven, and that's why the process is the way it is, because you can prove something like discrimination or Title 12, discrimination, race, color, national origin, gender, things like that, right? So I'm hoping they get it figured out. It's not a good thing if it is, and if they can prove it, and then they can prove that it's been going on for a while, then yeah, it's obviously stripped some careers from people, because you could have, let's say it's been going on for several years. You've obviously skipped several people that could have promoted up the ranks even higher now. You have to be in that, so let's say you're a sergeant. You got to be in that sergeant position for 2 years to test for lieutenant. 2 years lieutenant, then you can test for captain. 2 years as a captain, then you can go into associate deputy warden, and then it goes up to warden and then into the director level from there. So, you know, if they've been sitting on the list now and you're still number 10 and they're already at like 25, then, and you haven't given any reason as to why you haven't been called, then what the hell's going on? You know what I mean? That's why I want to have Carlos Garcia on here to really give some insight on what is really going on. That's just my opinion based on what I could think of would be the only... You're getting skipped on the list, and trust me, it happened. It happened when I was there. You know, I would see lists get frozen by a specific warden, and it wasn't Warden Courier. So, you know, there was a specific lieutenant's list out there that a warden didn't like this person, and then all of a sudden the list got frozen. She froze that list. There was no more openings, right? They were transferring in. That's another thing. If there's an open position and they transfer in a captain or lieutenant from another complex, is that really fair? I don't know. Maybe because they need the experience, but come on, there's some politics there, right? So that's what they were doing. She was transferring in, this other warden was transferring in somebody from Lewis that already held the title into that lieutenant position, and they weren't promoting off the list. So there's a lot of different factors that you can take into consideration in something like this. However, I think that I'm hoping that it gets taken care of, it gets resolved, and we go from there, because corrections right now has got a bad name in the media. And then you just had that fight with those 150 inmates, and there's a little bit of an update. I was watching, it's a reliable source on YouTube the other day, and it made a lot of sense what he said, that conflict of the 150 inmates and officers was due to that facility getting ready to close, and it brings a lot of money to Pinal County, specifically Florence. And inmates don't want to leave there. Officers don't want to leave there. They've been working there for a long time. So there was a lot of uproar, and it ended up causing a riot, a big one, and injuring a lot of people. There was a lot more officers than what I relayed and inmates injured in that specific riot than what I knew at the time. So, you know, it makes a lot of sense. And you know, it probably came down to, like, obviously a race thing at the end, and they just couldn't agree. It's going to come out. I haven't seen any reports lately that maybe I missed them or whatever, but, you know, like I said, guys, corrections is a tough, stressful job. And when you have to deal with shit like this, it makes it even tougher. And let's just hope it's not true, but, you know, I'm trying to remain subjective here. So actually, I'll just leave my opinion out of that, but you can probably know where I'm leading with that. As I said, I worked out at Lewis for her for a little bit. But anyway, guys, I appreciate it. Goon Squad, you're always faithful to me, as always. Keep rocking with me. As you can see, I'm in a kind of a different area today. I don't know. The flag looks a little bit, doesn't look straight enough. What a brutal. So I'm trying to change things up. We're going to be relocating here pretty quick, so keep rocking with me, y'all. I'll continue to bring stories. I know a lot of my goons want to hear war stories and stuff, and I'll bring them, but I just wanted to get that out there. I wanted to talk about that. I'm going to talk about some more news stories. Carlos, if you're watching this, we'll get you on the channel. We'll get you going, and then that way you can put your perspective out there, and for all the viewers to hear, all the viewers to see, and my Goon Squad, and all the people out there. I mean, what better platform, right? You know, I'm not obviously the most popular YouTuber, but I got a pretty good platform here. So let's get your story out there, my man, and let's stick up for corrections. I've still got a lot of buddies in corrections, and I don't like the way I'm seeing it roll, because let's just be honest, the governor is quietly trying to privatize corrections. A lot of people might not agree with that. However, it looks like that's the way it's going, especially with everybody wanting more money, more money, more money. They're going to get more money. Again, I think they're getting another percentage on a raise, maybe 5%. I'm not sure the total amount. But if they privatize it, then they can definitely give you more money, but they're going to take your benefits away. And who knows what the retirement, I don't know. So anyway, y'all, thanks for tuning in again to another episode of Correctional Officer Stories with Steve. Continue to rock with me as I